And welcome back to another episode of the Awfully Irish podcast. How's everyone getting on?
Doing good. Today we're joined by Chuck Riffinberg, a herbalist, which is a pretty unique profession, or actually pretty rarely is a profession, but he's made one out of it. So how you doing?
I'm doing well, yeah. Thanks for having me on your podcast, guys.
100%.
So you're a herbalist, which is pretty unique. It's like what we'd interview normally, but how'd you get into herbalism? It's a cool thing.
Probably been in it for 15 years or so now. I guess I got into it originally just by discovering marijuana, at a younger age, and you have this realization when you first smoke pot that there's this plant that has this profound consciousness changing effect on you. And I started to wonder about all the other plants out in the world. I discovered an encyclopedia of medicinal herbs and kind of just went to town reading it and studying all the different plants out there.
So it all started off with weed, which is fair.
Yeah.
I suppose that's
how many great
how it happens
stories
for some
start.
people.
It's-
Yeah.
Indeed, yes. The best stories do start that way.
Some of the best episodes in this podcast are all about it. Steve Cantwell, he went to get fake marijuana, and he got
He got like a Native American hallucinogenic.
What's it called? Salvia? Yeah, he got salvia.
I
instead.
was looking at your YouTube channel at the guy talking about his salvia trip there. I could talk all about salvia if you're interested in hearing about that, or
It's
talk about whatever you want.
awesome drug, man. Like I'm in the fence of trying it, and like.
Well,
I'm not. Go ahead. Tell us all about it.
Not to jump right into psychedelics and everything, but if you were thinking of trying it, this is my whole opinion on salvia, because years ago I had came upon some of the extract that you smoke. This is what's being sold in head shops and places that's causing people to have like very strong, intense trips. I would actually not advise people to do that. If you're able to find the actual living plant, what you should do is chew the leaves. That's what the native peoples of Mexico do, is they actually chew the leaves. It's kind of considered an insult to the plant to burn it, because it's associated with water and the Virgin Mary and all these sort of feminine energies. So it's like burning it is kind of an insult, is what it's thought to be that way. But
That's
chewing
pretty
it too, you get a much more mild experience from chewing the leaves. You get a sublingual absorption of the salvinorin A that's in there. It's not so as intense. Like if you smoke the extract, it's just instantly launching you into another dimension, whereas if you chew the leaves in the traditional method, it's much more gentle experience. I would highly recommend chewing the leaves over smoking the man-made extract.
Thank you. That's a very
Well, there
helpful
you go.
suggestion. Yeah, we've we posted Steve Cantwell on the Reddit and like Orsa Salvia. Told people to you want to hear a good story, go check this one out. And we got a lot of feedback, people saying they don't believe it, don't think it's true. But do you listen to most of it? Like, what's your take on it?
I didn't listen to his whole story. Why don't people believe what he had to say?
8 years, he says. He spent 8 years in a different life after after having a seizure after using salvia.
That's quite a story, but I don't know. I will say this is when I was a younger man, and I smoked the extract, and it was a very strong extract. I think it was like a 45X. But the whole next day, or maybe even for that week, like I would have moments where I would shift from this consciousness back into that space, that realm, if you want to call it, like that mindset when you're tripping on salvia. And I was concerned, is it going to be like this forever? Like, have I done some damage to myself permanently?
You'd really hope not.
On, yeah, right.
Shifting in and out of reality, bro. That's not what you want to happen.
No, you definitely don't. So over the years, my kind of attitude toward drugs in general has been like we should be using them in the more natural method, if you will. Like the way that the indigenous people chew the leaves, I think, is a much smarter way to go about it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just
if you think about something like cocaine, even if you take the coca plant and you just chew the leaves, that's very mild. Like you feel a little bit of energy and you're fine, But if you refine it and turn it into cocaine and then go further, you turn it into crack cocaine, like the further you get from that state of nature, the more potential for harm can take place. You know, you've taken it so far from its natural state, the results could be catastrophic.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Actually, the further that I guess people meddle with it, the worse it gets.
Yeah,
that's pretty rough. This is pretty deep already.
Yeah, and that's part of my whole philosophy and approach toward herbalism is we should be taking, for the most part, you should be taking plants in their whole state where it's not just the one chemical that people are looking for, but it's a whole family of chemistry and they're working synergistically in the body, you know?
That's one thing that's a bit weird when it comes to weed legalization. In Ireland, CBD is legal, but we don't touch the THC. That one's not allowed. So that's kind of relevant to, chemical isolation. And I suppose, why would you really want to separate them? Or I wonder, do they even work? I wonder, would they work differently together or blah, blah, blah?
They definitely work better together. The reason people separate them is because we exist in this sort of westernized mindset where we break everything down to parts and there must just be the one part that's effective, that people think of like an active ingredient. But it's not really the case. And I don't want to bash on that too much because in some cases, there is a value to that technology where you can remove, especially with more toxic plants, you can remove a specific chemical constituent and you can use it in a very precision manner. A good example is digitalis from foxglove. You don't want to take foxglove extract just randomly, but if you're taking a specific dose of digitalis, then it can help.
Is foxgloves good or bad for your heart?
Well, I would say foxglove, you wouldn't want to take it because it's rich in these cardiac glycosides, but in certain heart conditions, you can take the digitalis and it will kind of normalize the cardiac rhythm. It has an application. But again, think about if we're living a more kind of imbalanced lifestyle, then there's not going to be as much of a need for real radical intervention in that manner. That makes sense.
Yeah. So a lot of what you do is medical based. You're dealing with a lot of plants, and obviously you're going for the beneficial ones, not the other way around.
Right. And I wouldn't even say it's not so, you have to be careful of the language you use because of FDA in this country, and there's other regulatory bodies around. So I wouldn't say I'm definitely not doing medicine. What I do is when I talk to people, I assess their constitution, how things manifest for them, and then make recommendations of different dietary strategies and herbal supplements and things you could take to kind of live a healthier lifestyle. So, but I always make that clear to people, I'm not practicing medicine, I'm not a doctor, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but in reality, the things you're using are good for the people that they're using them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think helps people to live a healthier lifestyle.
Nice, a bit like a supplement. You said previously you worked with a lot of supplement companies. That must have been pretty handy in helping learn about all this stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. Kind of done a bunch of things over the years, different college courses and certification courses. But, working for a big company, you learn about all different vitamins and learn how that whole industry works as a whole. People ask about vitamins all the time, if they're effective. And, ideally, you want to get all your nutrition out of your diet, out of the food that you eat. But I do think supplementation can play a role, specific nutrients or, because so much of the food people eat now is deficient in minerals and the food we're eating today is not the food that our ancestors were eating 100 or 200 years ago.
Especially stateside,
yeah,
you guys do some weird stuff to your plants.
You add so much sugar to your food, and,
right?
And you guys wash your chicken in chlorine, and it's weird.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a bit odd, but these are alive. That's what matters. You hardly have anything there that can fix COVID. I think the world would love that right now. God,
Well, I don't have anything like that. I'm not going to make such a claim, again, for certain reasons, but I thought it was interesting. No, I know. But I mean, but there's a lot of truth in jest, right? I would say, what is the country? If you go look up one of these countries, it might have been Madagascar, or one of them was promoting an herbal drink from Artemisia for COVID. You have to, if you go on Google and search Artemisia COVID, you could find it. But I think there's a lot of promise in that as well. Like people should be looking at plants and other natural solutions for any type of illness.
So what's it called again there? Let me take a look.
Artemisia, like wormwood or mugwort, these different artemisias.
Isn't worm, what's it called? Wait, say that again, what's it called?
Wormwood is Artemisia
like
annua.
Super expensive.
No.
People love that stuff.
It's not expensive. There's a whole program. I watched this whole documentary in Africa. They're growing Artemisia to give the children a tea of Artemisia. It's like a very bitter tea that you drink, but it's, having good results for malaria in Africa.
It says that there's German scientists, they're testing it against coronavirus.
There you go.
So often the solution we're looking for is in the more natural world. Because like, absolutely. Before pharmaceutical companies, back in the day, you'd be chewing on your various leaves to make you feel better. What was it they said? Let your medicine, or let your food be your medicine.
Yeah, Hippocrates.
So yeah, I guess it's how we used to do it back in the day. But I suppose there still is a place for it. And if I were to go out there and I chat to my parents or something about what they think about herbalism, they'd probably say it's a bit out there, and for some reason a fair few people do. And what do you attribute that to? Kind of like falling out of herbalism and then trusting everything you get in a pill.
Certainly. I think it's only been the past 100 years that people's mindset has drifted away from using plants as medicine and toward this pharmaceutical model. You can't see it from here, but I have a really nice art piece on the wall. It's a whole map of the United States. It's from 1932, and it's all the plant medicines that were being grown in the various areas. So what I tell people all the time is, if you walked into a pharmacy 100 years ago, like, it would be all herbal medicines on the shelf, all different tinctures and plant medicines. If you go look into it, there was a pretty substantial effort, at least in the Americas. I don't know about in Europe. Must have been taking place in Europe as well. But there's been a pretty substantial effort to delegitimize and drive natural practitioners underground, herbalists and chiropractors and homeopaths, all these different folks. Those were much more common 100 years ago, and then they were suppressed by Rockefeller money and these different moneyed interests they basically put all their chips into the allopathic pharmaceutical model, and now we're living through the results of that now.
Yeah, big pharma is kind of bad there, isn't it?
Oh, it's a huge problem.
Yeah, we don't really have that here, thankfully. We're pretty A-okay. If I get sick, it won't be as expensive as it is there, but some people got a card. I don't have one.
Your healthcare is so bad.
It's
terrible.
Yeah, it really is. And what is the regulatory situation in Ireland and the rest of Europe as far as plant medicines go? Because I know different places it might be harder to get or easier to get.
Wait, say it to me again.
What's the regulatory status in Ireland as far as getting herbal medicines? Can you just walk into a shop and get them, or do you need permission slip?
Oh yeah, you can walk. There's separate shops and you can buy herbal medicines, yeah, but they're separated from your normal pharmacies and everything.
They'd be called supplement stores or so on. Like they'd also sell protein powders and
sure.
Blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't be a store dedicated to herbal medicine, but there would be a fair few with, one side of the store is only herbal medicine or so on.
For some reason, they all sell nuts. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking.
And there are a lot of new age and kind of feminist people running around the herbal medicine camps, and I think to some extent that hurts what we're trying to do as far as normalizing and legitimizing herbal medicine for everyone.
You mean like the idea of a Karen? You know, like trying to...
Say it again?
You mean the idea of like a Karen?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Saying like their herbal tea is going to stop COVID, blah, blah, blah. I've seen plenty of memes like that, but sadly it is kind of reality. That there are people out there who think that, sure, they read it online, so it must be true, and blah, blah, blah. Whereas I guess you're more so of an expert. So maybe rather than skip just going to the internet and then doing it, and maybe have a chat with someone who's an expert in that field.
Well, and one of the things I always say is it's not like I'm bashing on technological medicine too hard, because if I'm in a car accident, I want emergency services to save my life with technology. Obviously, like that has a place. But I think, especially in the States, there's doctors are far too eager to just throw drugs at people for no reason at all. When they never talk to people about their diet. They never talk to them about, other simple solutions that might, that are going to be way safer to go down that road.
Mm-hmm. That's how we developed. Was it drug resistant?
Yeah,
bacteria,
like
whatever,
like MRSA. Or whatever else.
So yeah, maybe we should think more about our diets, so on. That's a good point there, actually. Like during COVID, we're all sitting at home doing nothing. If you had any muscle on you, it's kind of going away now because you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So we're taking a big risk with our health just by staying at home, in general. Now, I'm not saying rip off your mask and go into the nearest field and cough on people. Don't. But like maybe do some exercise. Take care of yourself while you're at home.
Yeah, definitely. People need to think about, so a lot of research has come out on giving vitamin D for that particular situation. And we make vitamin D in our body when we're exposed to the sunlight. So if everybody's, especially in the winter, if you're staying inside all the time and you're not getting any sun at all, that's going to contribute to, be more likely to catch cold. And it's a lot of common sense stuff that's gone away, unfortunately. Obviously, if you're sick, you stay home, you wash your hands, you try not to go to work and infect people with your cold. But, largely, I don't think there's any need for people to be locked in their homes like you see in Europe and other places. And, it's gone a bit over the rails, in my opinion.
I think the situation in France recently was when it went over the rails.
What did they do?
I think in general it's been okay. They wouldn't let the German truck drivers back into Germany around Christmas time. They were just stranded.
Right. Really?
They weren't entitled to any welfare or anything. They didn't get any money to go get food or whatever. I don't know how they went to the fucking bathrooms, but they just lined the roads and they were stuck there.
Oh shit.
I thought it was god awful. I thought it was super sad to see. I don't even know if those guys got to go home for Christmas, but that was pretty rough.
Well, here in Vermont, I'm in Vermont, USA. It's like the northeast corner of the country, and other states too. But the governor was telling people they can't see other families for the holiday, for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and they had announced that they were going to be interviewing the children when they came back to school as to whether or not their family was visiting another family. It's very Orwellian. It's not a good thing.
But that is just fucking creepy.
That's a bit weird, yeah.
That is just fucking weird.
But I don't understand why they're shutting down barbers and hairdressers and everything. But they're all following the rules. If you're following the COVID rules, you should be allowed to do it.
All you need is the 4 barbers around the country who weren't doing it, and then
or same with the pubs, Jared. The pubs they've been fucked here. They've been closed since March, and they were maybe open for 3 weeks the entire year.
Yeah, I was at a pub there recently before they closed, and they were doing a great job. They were unrealistically taking it seriously. I love this because it's like they're representing their industry. But if you go to other pubs, all it takes is maybe 12 in the country. Okay, no one wears masks, no one does anything. It's just back to normal, and you have a couple cases, and then they go to home, their families, their kids go to school, and
there was one in Dublin. Remember that one? It
just takes people not doing the right thing. But when you're going to the shops, just put on a mask, get your week's worth of food, and go cry in your car after. But you know, for some people, that's a bit crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of underscores the need for more of this local food movement too that we were kind of talking about.
Oh yeah, I'm big into the idea of permaculture. Well, we have a couple guys getting on to talk about that, and had some in the
Awesome.
past.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
cool.
talking to my buddy now. You know, we would like to try to get land for a farm and to start growing all of our own herbs as well. Because right now I buy from a local herb farm, but you know, ideally I want to grow my own as well.
Yeah, well, that would be ideal. You know, you just kind of cut down the cost, and
Yeah,
I guess it gives you more to do.
yeah, and that's, I think, so much more rewarding when you know, you grow the plants and then you make them into extracts yourself. It's much more of a rewarding process.
Yeah, certainly. But yeah, how well versed are you with the idea of permaculture?
Pretty well, you know, I don't have any, I know they do permaculture certifications and stuff like that. I don't have anything like that, but I know about it, and I'm a huge fan of permaculture, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you seen the hugelkultur mounds?
Sorry?
Have you seen those hugelkultur mounds, the big mounds they grow?
Hugelkulturs, I've heard of that before. Remind me.
It's basically just a big mound where you throw down a bunch of old tree trunks and branches and pile it up with leaves, and you basically build a big mound and then plant all different crops right on the mound. So then as the wood inside of the mound rots, it's, you know, it's feeding nutrients out into the mound, and yeah, kind of a cool thing.
And there's been this kind of competition with that recently to try outdo standard agriculture, because the common, you know, argument is that it can't outdo our current agriculture. But they found a couple of times as pretty unique situations in which, you know, permaculture will outcompete. If you want to talk about nutrition alone, it already wins. But you want to talk about overall production. You know, like when you plant certain plants together and they grow better. What's it called?
Like companion planting.
There you go. They found a couple of cases of that where, you know, it's been able to outdo standard agriculture. So, you know, I'm looking forward to hear more of that. I know one is pretty disgusting. It was like yams and something else, and it was like currently the most efficient one. But we'll see.
Growing yams for permaculture was more efficient.
Yams plus something as a companion crop.
I see.
That was like the most productive. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this argument that GMOs are going to save us and that's the only way we can feed the world. I think this is a lot of propaganda.
We're not allowed them here. They're not allowed into the EU. I can't get a Hershey's bar because there's GMOs in it.
Interesting.
I love Hershey bars too.
Yeah.
You know, none of our food has GMOs in it.
Yeah. No.
You know, everything here is just bread. Like that's it. There's no doing stuff in a lab. It's just how it is. One thing I find.
Go ahead.
Okay, when I go to the States and I have an apple, it tastes like shit. If I come back to Ireland and I have an apple, it tastes great because it just they do nothing with it here. It's like 100-year-old tree making a couple of apples, whereas there it could be rushed and they could be doing all sorts to it.
That's what's nice about where I live is there is a pretty good focus on the local food. Like we have apples in Vermont. Like if you get it when it's in season and it's a high quality crop, like then it's going to be much better. But you know, you might go to a grocery store in the States and it's all the apples are, you know, sourced in and they've been sitting in a truck for 2 weeks, you know, so it's not going to be nearly as good as fresh off the tree.
To stay in color.
I grow strawberries and they're just incomparable to ones you just buy in the shop. Like nothing beats it, to be honest.
And we have to kind of get back to that idea of people keeping a little garden if they're able to, and keeping some chickens or keeping this and that.
Absolutely. And we should see the warning signs this year. I'm not saying to everyone listening now to go out and plant a few potatoes. Do it if you like. But like, you know, you've seen it in the shops yourselves, like, you know, the shelves being empty, the quality of the food overall not being too good. Maybe like it's just a bit of crack, you know, a couple of strawberries like Thomas is doing. I planted potatoes earlier in the year. Blah, blah, blah. Do whatever. If you want to grow something, grow it. I have like a chili tree or chili plant in the window, and I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, pass the time, do something, take care of your mental health, grow with the plant.
I don't know if you've seen that guy. I think his YouTube is Ice Age Farmer, but he talks a lot about this issue of the food shortages, and that's going to continue to be a problem, I think. So, yeah, I would agree. People should get into growing their own food. I've been a fan of that for a long time. Back when I was in college, I did some community garden projects, and there's a nice community garden in town here. I've got a plot over there. Of course, it's all covered in snow at the moment, but
yeah. No, they're a great idea. I'm trying not to sound like a bit of a hippie at the moment. No. It's so weird. You talk about these things, and then you're gonna get hit with the hippie stick.
My brother calls me a hippie all the time, but I'm,
Man,
I'd say I'm way more. Yeah.
But when the zombie apocalypse happens, dude, guess who he's going to be running to first? Like,
there you go. You're a herbalist, so it is kind of a hippie idea if you're unaware of it, you know?
For sure.
I'm viewing it as like a medicine thing, but, I'm assuming like someone's nanny up the road is going to be like calling you a hippie.
Oh, yeah. It's unavoidable to a certain extent.
But no, I don't know, just kind of like a proto-doctor in a way, you know? You got all these things that are good for you, but not necessarily you're going to, give someone surgery like.
No, yeah, exactly.
You got things that are good for your wellness, and blah, 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 that's good enough.
Well, and I am hopeful that there's going to be more of an integration as time goes on, because regular mainstream doctors, they don't look at this stuff until it's their patients that come to them and they tell them, oh, I started doing X, Y, or Z, and that actually relieved the problem. So the doctors realize, oh, that this has value, so we should probably be looking in that direction.
I love whenever my doctor says something like that isn't just, I'll take this. Okay, I do have to get an injection for hay fever because I get it terribly, but he also tells me to eat like a fuck ton of honey around that season, because I don't know, it's supposed to be good for stopping your hay fever. But he's an old guy, and he was born in India, and he said the best way to know if your honey is good honey is you just put a fly in it, and if the fly gets out, then it's not real honey, and if it stays in, but don't eat that one, get the next one. But I love when he said that to me before.
Well, yeah, and do you ever heard of like stinging nettles, for instance? That's a good tea for hay fever.
Oh, we know about them. They are everywhere.
Yeah, you should be eating that every year.
Raw.
I had the flowers because I know they're good medicine, but I haven't been gnawing on the leaves. I know if you want to just eat the leaves, if you're going out camping, you can kind of put them over a fire and it burns off the needles.
Yeah,
you can chew them like normal. But,
right, steam them like a spinach or whatever.
Yeah,
I just eat them raw. It's like they're tasty. More natural, like you said. It's like
yes, right.
Is it ground elder?
Ground elder.
What was it? It's the little leaves. Look what they are now.
I'm not sure. Not the elder tree, sambucas, no?
No, sir. I know elderberries. I remember having those raw once. Never again.
Yeah, that's a misnomer.
Ground elder. It's the Romans brought it here. Supposedly, people think it was like their equivalent of spinach, and then it just grew around monasteries and so on. And Ireland had plenty of those, so now it's everywhere. Ground elder.
Nice.
It's supposed to be good for you until it flowers, because then it's an anti-diarrheal and it's fucking lethal.
What's the Latin on that? Does it say? I could look it up too, I guess. Ground elder.
Come on, Jared.
I don't know.
Would you stop embarrassing yourself?
Its common name is ground elder. Its Irish name is Lucin aspig.
Agapodium. Interesting. Goutweed.
Yeah.
I've heard of that. I haven't played around with that one too much.
It's probably not native to where you are, if it came from the Romans.
Well, and what's crazy is so much of the stuff here is from Europe, because our ancestors came over and brought it with them. And they called, I don't know if it's mullein or dandelion, one of these, but they would call it the white man's footprint, because it just, like the seeds just stick on you. You don't even have to do anything about it, and you take them with you.
Those are supposed to be good for you, aren't they?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I've done a bit of foraging before, and I've tasted a lot of things that are edible in Ireland. They all fucking suck. Of course, they all taste terrible, no matter what you do to them.
You used to get a lot of garlic, didn't you? Like wild garlic. You said that was
garlic was lovely. That one's okay.
Yeah.
Even at that, it's spicy garlic.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty intense garlic, but a lot of things that go here, god awful.
Here's a thought for you then too, along those lines. So, the wild garlic or these different wild plants, they have to put up a lot more of a defense by living in the wild. You know, they're exposed to the elements, and they've got bacteria and stuff they have to deal with as well. So the nutrition in those plants are going to be a lot higher than their domesticated counterparts. Like if you look at wild blueberries versus cultivated, the antioxidant levels in the wild are vastly superior. So same thing with the garlic, like the wild garlic or the wild onions, like we have ramps here in the woods. It's got that bite, that spiciness. That's actually the medicinal constituents in the plant. And they're, you know, they're much more high than the cultivated ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of went to like a kind of a hippie phase during quarantine. I hate to keep saying the word. It was I got into permaculture because of Rob Greenfield. That guy grew all his food for a year. Crazy guy. But he walks barefoot, so I think that kind of drops him on credibility sometimes. So yeah, I got into permaculture, got into foraging, and then the medicine side as well. And here we are talking to you.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So,
what a journey.
I'm getting there. You know, it's like nobody knows it all, but we're all kind of, you know, we're all experts together in our own way, working toward a goal.
Yeah. And how do you make a business out of this? Because, you know, I wouldn't think of it as being the most profitable, but I think if you read to it more, it could be.
Yeah. Well, so that's a great question. Basically, I realized in 2018 is when CBD was getting legalized here in the States and in Vermont. And I could see the kind of coming wave, like, and there's a ton of people that have rushed into that space. There's 1 million CBD products on the market. But so, you know, that's the primary kind of thing. And the way I see it is we sell a lot of CBD, but I kind of use it as a bridge to introduce people to other herbs that they can incorporate into their life. Like I sell regular CBD oil, but also a proper tincture and then formulas that incorporate CBD hemp and other medicinal herbs together all as one.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
And is it just you in your business, or do you have other people working with you?
It's just me, but I have some friends that kind of lend a hand, and we're kind of all working toward, hopefully one day it'll be a big enough organization that we can, you know, hire a bunch of people and have a whole farm.
Cool.
Well, you'd love to see it. Yeah.
Once the COVID shit is over with, sorry, I hope I can cuss on your podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Good. But once the COVID shit is over with, we want to start having classes here because the name of the building is the Rogue Herbalist Academy and Apothecary. So we've got the apothecary, we've got the bulk herbs here and different extracts and things for sale, but I want to have actual proper classes where people can come and learn how to make tinctures or just learn the science and art of herbalism.
Yeah. And
I mean, for right now, we're working on an online course and making YouTube videos. We're going to start doing more of those.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great way to do it.
100%.
Yeah.
Man, I have not realized how good of a tool YouTube is until quarantine. Oh my God. Everyone should have a YouTube channel. Maybe they should.
That's what I think too.
Yeah. Look, if you can do it, do it. Power to you.
Yeah, I think everyone should have their own website too. You know, you should have your own sort of build your own brand, build your own identity out there in the digital marketplace. While you still can, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Now that'll be a hard one to convince to everyone's nannies out there, but
Sure.
Nanny,
they can learn.
Nanny, you have to get yourself a website, Nanny.
You
know?
Set it up and tell her when, you know, put on the times and all the Angeleses are on.
Yeah.
This is terrible. No, you got a great point there. if you want to do well, you should probably consider yourself as a personal brand, and yeah. I mean, you may as well do it. It kind of helps me bite my tongue sometimes. Like if I say something bad, this could one day be brought out of context.
Yeah, it's happening all over the place, unfortunately. You just have to upload your videos to other platforms too. You know, there's more and more streaming and video platforms all the time.
But yeah, the great thing with a podcast is, look, there's a video version we're doing right now. Okay, and then that goes to YouTube, and then there's the audio only version that goes on to Apple Podcast, Spotify, blah 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 blah. So there's all these platforms available. So it's always pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, and go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm getting into learning how to use Zoom so that multiple people can join the room, and then you can do a whole class like that. You can do the share of the screen and show people your presentation.
That's how we're doing college right now. We're doing it virtually on Zoom Teams.
Right on.
Yeah. It's not right. It sucks, but
Yeah.
At least we're learning. We have the abilities to do it now.
We have the potential. It is special how college is going for us at the moment. It is.
I think though, especially with learning something like herbalism, people really need to be present and be working with the plants. Like you need to go out into nature and find them and identify, and you taste the herbs, you smell them, you learn actually how to work with them by hand. Because you can read anything in a book or you can watch a video, but it doesn't really solidify in your mind until you've actually physically done the thing.
Yeah. No, you're right. 100%. You have to do these things to learn them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just gotta do them. You can learn. That's one thing I was hearing about today. You can prepare for something all you want, but if you never do it, what's the point?
Right.
Yeah. So sometimes you gotta kind of hop into these things, see what happens.
That's right.
But anyway, I feel like we've had a good chat. This has been great, Chuck.
Yeah.
I can call you Chuck. We're friends now.
Thank you, Gerard. Yeah.
I hope you have a
Thanks,
great
Mr.
day.
Herbalist.
Welcome.
Mr. Herbalist. That sounds like a great brand name, Mr. Herbalist. Anyone ever looks at Herbalist, there you are. But yeah, look, best luck with everything you do. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope people have learned a bit about herbalism. And at the start, maybe a bit about salvia and how to take it. There you go. But no, this has been a pleasure. If people want to find you, where can they check you out?
You can just check out rogueherbalist.com. I don't know about shipping to Ireland, but feel free to check out the website and see things. Right now, I'm only shipping in the USA. I don't know about, sending CBD especially over the borders. That's kind of a complicated thing, I guess. But
it's legal here, but I wouldn't risk it.
No. Yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, there's going to be more educational stuff on the website as time goes on, and you can follow me on Instagram. It's rogue_herbalist. Mm-hmm. It's just, that's my brand, Rogue Herbalist, so you can't really miss it.
Cool. Well, lads and ladies, you know where to find them. And as we always say, take it handy.
Luxus.
Top of the morning, lads and ladies. Support for the Off the Irish podcast is now brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and you'll no longer need the look of the Irish with the ladies. Make every day feel like St. Patrick's Day for your balls with Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code IrishPod at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped, and use code IrishPod. Use the right tools for the job and trim your pant potatoes.